Welcome to NTD Newsroom. I'm Don Ma. The White House announcing a fresh round of peace talks with Iran set for this weekend. Who's going and who's not, and why the president says he's under no time pressure to make a deal. For the first time in decades, 3 U.S. aircraft carriers are stationed across the Middle East, the latest on the American blockade of Iranian ports. Back here at home, a House investigation targeting a major watchdog group. Lawmakers ordering the Southern Poverty Law Center to turn over records tied to the Justice Department and the FBI. The United States and the European Union agreed to enhance their cooperation on critical minerals. The new memorandum is part of a push by Western countries to reduce dependence on China. A major development on drug pricing, President Trump announcing a new deal with Regeneron and a newly approved hearing loss therapy set to be offered for free. And a facelift for one of America's most iconic landmarks, President Trump announcing renovations to the Lincoln Memorial Reflecting Pool. What's changing and how much it's going to cost?
This is NTD Newsroom, live from our global headquarters in New York City.
Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us. The White House announcing moments ago that U.S. envoys will head to Pakistan on Saturday for a fresh round of talks with Iran. It comes as the president stresses that the U.S. military remains locked and loaded as negotiations continue. Joining us now live from the North Lawn of the White House is NTD's White House correspondent Iris Tao. Iris, good afternoon. What is the latest?
Good afternoon to you as well. So just moments ago, the White House announcing that President Trump has decided to send Special Envoy Steve Witkoff as well as Jared Kushner to Pakistan on this Saturday or tomorrow for a new round of peace talks with Iran. The press secretary telling us just now that it was the Iranians who reached out as told by President Trump and requested the in-person negotiation. Let's take a look.
The Iranians want to talk. They want to talk in person. And so the president is, as I've said many, many times to all of you, always willing to give diplomacy a chance. So Steve and Jared will be heading to Pakistan tomorrow to hear the Iranians out. We hope progress will be made, and we hope that positive developments will come from this meeting.
Meanwhile, Vice President J.D. Vance is on standby, according to the White House, and will dispatch to Pakistan if they think that the negotiations actually require him to be there, if that's deemed appropriate and necessary for his time. Meanwhile, President Trump on Thursday stressing that he's under no time pressure to reach a deal with Iran, also adding that the U.S. military remains locked and loaded. Watch.
I'm not under any pressure whatsoever. We've never had so much ammunition. Our ships are loaded. I call them locked and loaded. They're locked and loaded. They're ready to go. The problem they have is they are very disorganized right now.
And while President Trump did not place a definite timeline or a deadline for Iran to come up with a unified proposal, he is stepping up deterrence in the Strait of Hormuz. He's ordering U.S. Navy to shoot and kill any Iranian boats that attempt to lay mines in that key waterway. And right now, this morning, Central Command announcing that for the first time in decades, there are now 3 U.S. aircraft carriers in the Middle East, carrying a total of 200 aircraft and 15,000 sailors and Marines. Back to you.
And Iris, as U.S. gas prices hover around $4 a gallon, the administration today announcing a new action to stabilize the oil market. Can you tell us more about this?
Sure. So the president this morning extended the waiver for Jones Act, which will allow basically foreign flagged vessels to transport goods and fuel between U.S. ports. And the White House saying that the goal is to mitigate the short-term disruptions to energy markets amid the conflict in Iran. And President yesterday is saying that Americans could feel the increase in gas prices for a little while, but that's for something much more important. Watch.
You need more time. Does that mean Americans should anticipate spending more on gasoline for the foreseeable future.
For a little while. And you know what they get for that? You know what they get for that? Iran without a nuclear weapon that's going to try and blow up one of our cities or blow up the entire Middle East.
And this afternoon, the president will be departing to Florida and come back for the correspondence dinner set for this Saturday. And the White House press secretary telling us just now that he will give a very interesting speech. So a lot to watch for tomorrow night. Back to you.
All right, Iris, thank you. The U.S. is sending another aircraft carrier near the Strait of Hormuz. In total, 3 aircraft carriers are already stationed across the Middle East, which is the first in decades. NTD's international correspondent Arian Pastar has the latest on the American blockade on Iranian ports.
The United States has imposed an ironclad blockade. Our Navy is enforcing this blockade without hesitation or apology.
Secretary of War Pete Hegseth on Friday, praising the American blockade, which targets Iranian ports and ships while guaranteeing safe transit for others.
Non-Iranian vessels are allowed to transit, and many have, including overnight. Not only is the blockade growing, in fact, a second aircraft carrier will join the blockade in just a few days.
While one aircraft carrier is currently stationed near Hormuz, the U.S. has deployed more. U.S. Central Command saying for the first time in decades, 3 aircraft carriers are operating in the Middle East at the same time. The forces include over 200 aircraft and 15,000 sailors and Marines. The 3 warships are the USS Abraham Lincoln, the USS Gerald R. Ford, and the USS George H.W. Bush. They're currently stationed near Hormuz, near the Suez Canal, and in the Indian Ocean, respectively.
This growing blockade is also gone global. Just this week, we seized 2 Iranian dark fleet ships in the Indo-Pacific region that had left Iranian ports before the blockade went into effect. They thought they'd made it out just in time. They did not.
According to CENTCOM, to date, U.S. forces have redirected 34 vessels. Most of the ships returned voluntarily, but some had to be boarded by U.S. forces. In one case, the U.S. military sent warnings for 6 hours before taking action.
U.S. sailors warned the crew of the Tuska to abandon the engine room. The destroyer disabled the Tuska's engine by firing 9 inert rounds from the destroyer's Mark 45 5-inch guns precisely into the engine room and engine space on board the Tuska.
Vacate your engine room. We're prepared to subject you to disabling fire.
The Pentagon says it'll continue its blockade on Iranian ports, urging vessels to comply. Arian Pastar, NTD News.
President Trump announced the Israel-Lebanon ceasefire will be extended by 3 weeks. Joining us now is Claire Lopez, national security expert and founder and president of Lopez Liberty. So Claire, good afternoon to you. So let's talk about this extension here. It buys time for talks, but how do you feel about the strength of this ceasefire?
Well, thank you, Don. Good afternoon to you, too. We're going to have to see how this extension of the ceasefire plays out. We know that the attacks by Hezbollah in the recent past days have violated the already existing ceasefire multiple times, shooting rockets and drones at Israeli Defense Forces. And also, I would give credit to the Syrian government in Damascus that is helping to counter Hezbollah. And just within the last day or so, disabled a small pickup truck that had rocket launchers embedded in the truck bed. Those and other attacks up near the Golan Heights, near the area of Quneitra. So we're going to have to see, how well this ceasefire can hold this time, if at all.
So you mentioned that Hezbollah has launched rockets or missiles during the ceasefire. I'm wondering if we need to make a distinguishment between behavior by Hezbollah versus actions by Lebanon's government. Do we need to make a distinction here?
Oh, yes, absolutely. Even though the government of Lebanon, President Joseph Aoun, it would like, I think, to be rid of Hezbollah in Lebanon. The Lebanese armed forces at this point in time are really no match for even what is left of Hezbollah. And so President Aoun is in a difficult position. But definitely there should be a distinction made, although there is Hezbollah influence, corruption, infiltration of the Lebanese armed forces.
All right, so how confident do you feel about the prospects of Hezbollah's disarmament and whether it's going to stop cross-border attacks?
Hezbollah, whatever is left of that terrorist organization, will never willingly disarm itself. It's going to have to be disarmed, whether that is by the Israeli Defense Forces, perhaps in collaboration with the Lebanese armed forces, and with whatever support the United States may be able to give to the Lebanese armed forces. But Hezbollah itself will not disarm.
All right, so we can't talk about this ceasefire without talking about the overall Iran-U.S. negotiations, right? So how do you think this ceasefire will help Iran come to an agreement with the U.S. amid these talks?
I'm not confident of that, no. I know that the Iranian regime, again, whatever is left of it, would like to delay and string out any talks, negotiations that can be arranged. As your reporter mentioned earlier, our envoys, the envoy Steve Witkoff and also Jared Kushner, headed back to Islamabad this coming weekend, tomorrow actually, Saturday. But I think that the regime in Iran is not only looking to delay and string out, whatever time it can buy through these talks, but it's useful, it's important to note that regime itself is now increasingly, obviously divided within itself. We hear, for example, that the Speaker of the Iranian Parliament, the Majlis, Mohammad Bakr Ghalibaf, has withdrawn his participation in any of these talks. It is increasingly clear that it is the IRGC, Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, that commands whatever is going on in Tehran. The supreme leader, by the way, he's not an Ayatollah, he's a Hojatul Islam, if he's still alive, is out of the picture. He's seriously injured, according to reports. It is the IRGC. We are talking about commander of the IRGC, Ahmed Vahidi. We are talking about former commander of the IRGC, Mohsen Rezai, and others, Zolgadar, who is now the replacement for Ali Larijani, as Secretary of Iran's Supreme National Security Council. These are the men who are commanding, who are ruling Iran today, not what we might call the civilian representation, Ghalibaf formerly, or the foreign minister, Amir Abbas Araghchi. They are not the ones who are calling the shots. It's the IRGC.
All right, so Claire, earlier you said that one of the strategies of the Iranian regime is to delay these negotiation talks. So President Trump said he's under no pressure and he's in no hurry to make a deal. But do you think there are any factors at all giving Iran some kind of consideration to time? Is Iran under any time pressure whatsoever?
Yes, Iran very much so is under time pressure, and that has to do with its oil industry. And as President Trump and others have pointed out, the Iranian oil wells continue to produce, but that oil is not being able to be exported because of the U.S. blockade around, for example, Kharg Island in the northern part of the Persian Gulf, but down through the Persian Gulf, through the Strait of Hormuz. those tankers full of oil are not able to get out. So at some point, sooner rather than later, we can count it in days, maybe a couple of weeks, when Iran's storage tank space for its oil will be topped off. They won't be able to store any more oil, nor are they able to ship it out. And so what will have to happen at that point, if we get to that point, is that Iran will have to begin capping its oil wells, which is a procedure that is not easily turned around. It is not easy to restart them after capping them, and it may cause permanent deduction or reduction, I should say, in the ability of those wells to produce at any time in the future. So yes, Iran is under time pressure for that reason. President Trump, on the other hand, says that the United States is not under any kind of the same time pressure. We produce more oil, as he has said, than Saudi Arabia and Russia combined. And others are trying to reroute their own oil exports out of the Middle East. I'll name Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates, and more, rerouting. And other ships are heading to the United States, to the Gulf of America, along the Texas and Louisiana Gulf coastlines there, to load up on American oil. And so the world market is readjusting to whatever is going on in the Persian Gulf, Strait of Hormuz. But perhaps the Iranian regime and others might be looking to internal domestic pressure here in the United States on President Trump, and perhaps looking towards the November 2026, this year, midterm elections, but they're not going to be able to hang on that long.
Okay, Claire, I just have two final questions, and I'll ask you both at the same time here. You said earlier that the Iranian oil container storage facilities are filling up, and they have to cap their oil production. Is it possible to just, instead of exporting that oil, just to, throw it away, dump it somewhere so that it can continue its extraction of oil without capping it? That's one question. And the other one is, as we speak right now, Israel says it's ready and prepared to launch large-scale military operations against Iran's core infrastructure, such as energy, power facilities, those type of stuff. Would the Iranian regime be able to survive something like this, if its economic infrastructure is destroyed?
Well, I'll take the last question first, that there is so much combined pressure, military and economic now, both. They're calling it, of course, Operation Economic Fury, as well as the earlier Operation Epic Fury. The pressure on the Iranian regime, the time pressure we talked about with regard to oil production, storage, and exports, as well as, again, we need to pay attention to what is going on inside the Iranian regime. Its own top ranks are divided now, increasingly, apparently, obviously. That is something to watch in terms of whether the regime can even hold itself together internally. But to your first question about, dumping oil, we can only hope that they wouldn't even think of such a thing in terms of the environmental damage that such a move could cause, either internally on the mainland of Iran or in the waters, of the Persian Gulf. Hopefully that would not happen. They will instead, I think, have to begin capping those wells to shut off the production at some point in the next probably couple of weeks.
Okay, Claire, so good to talk with you today. Thank you.
Thank you.
A House investigation targeting the Southern Poverty Law Center, lawmakers demanding records tied to alleged coordination with the Justice Department and the FBI. And from congressional scrutiny to a federal investigation now coming to an end, the Justice Department closing its probe into the Federal Reserve and Chair Jerome Powell as scrutiny shifts to internal oversight. More news after this break. Stay with us.
This is how I keep my joints happy.
Omega XL is a powerful natural supplement backed by 40 years of clinical research. Take control of your pain, like Cynthia Bailey.
My knees in particular started giving me pain issues all the way back to my modeling days, from just running through airports, photo shoots. After taking Omega XL, I really started to notice how less stiff I was, especially my knees and my hip. Has Omega XL changed my life? Yes. I barely notice my joint pain anymore. Now I'm like literally sprinting through the airports. My secret is Omega XL.
Pick up the phone and call now to get this exclusive TV offer. Buy one Omega XL and we'll send you a second bottle absolutely free. You'll also get a free bottle of Vitamin XL D3. Buy one, get two free. A total value of over $115, all for just $49.95. You save more than 55% and shipping is free. Backed by a money-back guarantee and is not available in stores. Operators are standing by, so call now.
I was a young dad of 3 amazing kids. I was finally following my dreams. Just when you feel like life is starting to come together, you get kind of hit in the face. I was born with a congenital heart defect and had open heart surgery as a kid. I was supposed to go to the heart doctor once a year, and I finally went. He listened to my heart, and I'll never forget, he sat back and he said, yeah, it's time for open heart surgery, or you risk your aorta rupturing, and that's it. I was scared out of my mind. The night before my open heart surgery, I made a goodbye video for my kids. Be strong. Take care of your mom. I love you guys.
Seeing, all the kids hug him goodbye and hoping that they were going to be able to hug him again.
I love you. But I did make it, thanks to the work of the American Heart Association. So that's why I'm asking you to join me. Please call now or go to helpheart.org. For only $19 a month, just 63 cents a day, you can help get the next person trained in CPR, get the next hospital certified in high-quality cardiovascular care, as well as fund the next medical breakthrough like these heart valves that helped save my life. When you give $19 a month with your credit card, we'll send you this special t-shirt to show you're a part of our community of monthly donors.
I'm most grateful that I get to have a husband that I get to grow old with, and a husband that gets to be there for his children.
I believe without the American Heart Association, I would not be here today. If this can happen to me, it can happen to you, it can happen to anybody. Your donation can literally help save a life. Please call the number on your screen or go to helpheart.org now to become a monthly donor.
U.S. Attorney Jeanine Pirro announcing on X today that the Justice Department is closing its criminal investigation of the Federal Reserve and its current leader, Jerome Powell. In the post, Pirro said she had asked the Federal Reserve's Inspector General to take a closer look at what she called billions of dollars in building cost overruns ultimately borne by taxpayers. Her review focused on the renovation of 2 historic buildings owned by the central bank. Now, with that oversight in place, she says she's closing her investigation. This comes just days after Republican Senator Thom Tillis warned he would block President Trump's pick to lead the Federal Reserve, Kevin Warsh, if the probe continued. With Tillis' support, Warsh is now likely to move a step closer to a full Senate confirmation mode. A House committee is ordering the Southern Poverty Law Center to turn over records tied to its communications with the Biden-Harris Department of Justice and the FBI. Chairman Jim Jordan says the request follows reports of close coordination, including meetings, data access, and training for federal prosecutors. The committee has given the group until April 30th to produce documents as it faces a federal indictment alleging fraud, false statements, and money laundering. Prosecutors also allege the organization funneled millions of dollars to informants inside extremist groups, including white supremacist organizations. They say the aim was to incite and intensify racial tensions. The SPLC denies wrongdoing and says it will vigorously defend itself. A controversial spy bill unveiled in the House. It was delayed last week after critics warned of privacy breaches into American private communications. NTD's Melina Weisskopf has more on the changes.
Section 702 of FISA is a spy power used by the government to surveil foreign individuals overseas without a warrant.
It preserves the Trump administration's ability to kill terrorists and to prevent attacks on our homeland. That this provisional law was created after 9/11, and frankly, one of the reasons we've not had another 9/11 on our shores is because we have this important tool.
House lawmakers this week have unveiled a new bill to extend this controversial spy power until 2029. It's the latest proposal after a group of critics blocked reauthorization last week due to concerns about privacy breaches on Americans. Though warrants are not included in the new proposal, lawmakers aim to ramp up oversight to prevent abuses. The bill explicitly prohibits the intentional targeting of U.S. citizens. The Comptroller General will be subject to audit reports that assess whether current targeting procedures appropriately limit surveillance. Judiciary Committee Jim Jordan has insisted that previous changes made to FISA are adequate.
Due to the improved reporting required by the law, Congress has more insight than ever into the program's operation.
The newest proposal also requires the Civil Liberties Protection Officer to give monthly reviews of queries of Americans. The House and Senate must approve the Spy Powers bill by April 30th to prevent a lapse. Reporting from Washington, D.C., Melina Weisskopf, NTD News.
The United States and several international partners are warning of covert cyber attacks linked to China. They say the attacks use everyday internet-connected devices like routers and smart technology. A joint advisory says hackers are exploiting small office and home routers to build networks that disguise their online activity. Officials say these networks can be shared by multiple threat actors and updated continuously. The alert highlights cases involving groups known as Flax Typhoon and Volt Typhoon. They have used such networks for cyber espionage and to position potential attacks on critical infrastructure. Authorities warn that any vulnerable device, including cameras, firewalls, and storage systems, can be exploited at scale. This comes as concerns grow over national security risks tied to foreign-made technology. The Supreme Court will hear a lawsuit next week that accuses the California-based tech giant Cisco of aiding Beijing in a brutal persecution. Cisco is appealing a ruling from 2023 that allowed the case to move to trial. The lawsuit accuses Cisco of aiding the Chinese regime's violent persecution of the Falun Gong spiritual practice. It alleges that Cisco supplied technology to help China's communist officials track and persecute Falun Gong practitioners. Cisco argues it isn't liable for aiding and abetting human rights violations under American laws. We'll bring you the case live at 10 a.m. Eastern on Tuesday right here on NTD News, or tune in at ntd.com. Don't miss it. The United States and the European Union have agreed to enhance their coordination on securing critical minerals. The new memorandum is part of a push by Western countries to reduce dependence on China. Secretary of State Marco Rubio touted the agreement today during a meeting with the EU's trade minister.
This shows a growing awareness and commitment throughout the world, particularly with our allies in the West and in Europe, the importance of supply chains and critical minerals to the success of our economies and to our national security for that matter. The over-concentration of these resources, the fact that they're dominated by one or two places, is an unacceptable risk. We need diversity in our supply chains, diversity in the places we get critical minerals. And this memorandum of understanding, which isn't just going to be a piece of paper, it's going to be brought to life through real actions, are going to be important for the economic vibrancy of all of our economies, the global economy really, but also to the security of our country.
The U.S. and the EU first announced their cooperation in February when Vice President J.D. Vance unveiled plans to create a preferential trade bloc for critical minerals. Rubio's remarks come as China leverages its dominance over the natural resources, often by curbing exports and manipulating prices. The result has impacted the ability of other countries to diversify supplies of the minerals. Critical minerals are used to make semiconductors, electric vehicles, advanced weapons, and other products that developed economies depend on. And a rare disease treatment now free for some patients. President Trump unveiling a new agreement with Regeneron and the impact on drug prices. We'll tell you more about this after this break in just a moment. Stay with us.
Food. It fuels our bodies, nourishes our spirits, and brings us together. Because we all need nutritious food to thrive.
Food gives me energy and it also helps me focus.
But not everyone knows where their next meal is coming from. And 1 in 7 people in America face hunger. It's tougher than ever for too many of us. But the simple truth is, Ending hunger is possible, and it starts with you. Call or go online to helpfeedingamerica.org and give $19 a month, just 63 cents a day, to help families in your community facing hunger. Feeding America works from coast to coast with partner food banks, food pantries, and meal programs. Your monthly gift delivers food where it's needed most, puts fresh food on the table, and helps kids have healthy meals all year round, even when school is out.
You can see the difference with the kids when they're full. Food is everything.
Please call the number on your screen or go online to helpfeedingamerica.org. Give $19 a month. Your first gift can double in impact. And we'll send you this free canvas grocery bag as a reminder of how you're helping to end hunger for good.
When it comes down to it, it's about taking care of your family first and the loved ones that you need to provide for.
Food donations help me tremendously, and I'm very grateful for the food bank.
I have hope.
The simple truth is, ending hunger in America is possible. You can help make it happen. The need is urgent. Call or go online now to helpfeedingamerica.org, and your gift can double in impact.
Sweetie, are you ready to go?
In a sec.
You think Granny will like this?
Of course she will.
Let's go.
Hello. Hi. So good to see you. Come in, come in, come in.
Mom, thank you for everything.
Oh my goodness. Wow, that is so beautiful. I love the color. Oh my gosh, the leather. Thank you so much.
Mom, thank you for everything.
Oh, wow. It's like matches.
It's adorable.
Regeneron Pharmaceuticals has become the latest drug maker to join the Trump administration's most favored nation drug pricing program. President Trump announcing the deal as part of a broader push to lower prescription drug costs.
Today, I'm also announcing that the FDA has just approved a new drug from Regeneron called Otarmany, a gene therapy curing a rare disease that causes deafness. It normally cures for rare diseases can cost millions of dollars, and really the results aren't that good. But in this case, I'm pleased to say that Regeneron will be giving this away for free for a period of time for free.
President Trump says agreements now in place cover a majority of the branded drug market in the United States. The policy is aimed at aligning U.S. drug prices with the lowest prices paid globally. A 2-year-old with the same rare condition was also at the event, stealing the show in some senses as the announcement was made. The president saying little Travis was born completely deaf, but after Regeneron's treatment, he can now hear his mom tell him that she loves him. President Trump announcing the 17th agreement with the major pharmaceutical manufacturer for most favored nation pricing to lower prescription drug prices for Americans. Joining us now to discuss this is Ed Hazelmeyer, expert in healthcare policy and markets at the Heritage Foundation. So Ed, good afternoon to you. Thank you for joining us today. Can I just get your first reactions here off the top? What do you think of this administration's efforts to lower drug prices?
Well, I think it's a positive thing in as much as instead of trying to regulate it, they're trying to actually create incentives and deals with companies to do it. So it's a bit of a departure from what we've seen in the past with government trying to regulate and mandate, and that has all sorts of follow-on consequences.
Okay, so here's the main question I want to ask you today. Can you just talk to us, in your view, fundamentally, why healthcare costs in the U.S. are so high, and in some cases much higher than other countries? Is it simply due to inflation? What is it?
It's due to the way the system is structured, where it doesn't work for most people like a normal consumer good, where you see the price and you can compare. And that's one of the biggest problems. And while the focus has been on drugs, drugs only make up about 10% of total healthcare spending. The really big cost drivers are hospital care. And the president has proposed, he actually did in his first term, proposed regulations to require the disclosure of prices so people could see what they were going to be charged, because people get charged all different amounts, including those with insurance. They get charged different amounts depending on who they have. So that's what is called price transparency, and that's a very bipartisan approach that's gaining support in Congress right now.
Okay, so Ed, let me ask you this. How would price transparency lower costs? And do you think this is the most effective way to bring down the cost of healthcare?
Well, I think it's probably the most effective short-term impact. In other words, if you make these prices transparent, where people can see what they're being charged, they're going to have a fairly significant impact in the short term. Let me give you an example. This was taken from some data that others did or used from the early data that came out, looking at the price of something very basic, a MRI for lower back pain. A lot of people have lower back pain, you get an MRI, okay? What you find is that the same hospital will be charging payers 2 or 3 times the amount difference. In other words, here in Washington, D.C., they had a hospital, and the cost of that procedure would be anywhere from $800 to $3,500, depending on who was paying the bill. And the employers and unions who provide health insurance to their workers, they don't know whether they're getting a good deal or a bad deal. So part of price transparency is once you make that data available, people can compare it and say, well, wait a minute, if you're charging me more, why is that? Or if this hospital is charging more than another hospital, why is that? And that drives the question of quality, which is the next question.
And it also promotes competition, doesn't it?
Absolutely. I mean, again, to use the example of imaging, MRI, CAT scan, X-ray, things like that. You can do it in a hospital. You could do it in a freestanding radiology practice. There are lots of places you could do it. This is something that you schedule. It's not an emergency. A lot of healthcare is not an emergency. I mean, in fact, very little of healthcare is an emergency. Most of it can be scheduled. So if you actually have that information in advance, then you can start making decisions. Initially, that would be plans making the decisions, but we're promoting additional reforms that would incentivize patients or incentivize plans to give patients the tools that they need to make those decisions themselves. Say an app, you need an X-ray, well, where do I go? And it'll tell you the prices. And maybe the plan says, look, if you go someplace cheaper, we'll share the savings with you. That would really make a difference.
Okay, so that's definitely a good idea. I mean, very few people would argue price transparency is not a good idea, but I don't know if there's another aspect to this. Providers are often paid per test, visit, or procedure. And that means more care equals more revenue, right? So preventative or efficient care maybe isn't always rewarded. So how do we change that?
Well, there's several things. One, when we're talking about price transparency, it doesn't necessarily be pro procedure. So for example, to get to the point that you raised about multiple aspects, you can have the payment based on a bundle of services, not just the one, not breaking each element out. Just like you buy a car, you don't pay separately for each part that goes into the car. You're buying a bundle. So that's possible. Two, there are other reforms that are going on as well. So there are payment reforms, particularly for primary care. The idea of, instead of paying primary care doctors on a fee-for-service basis, you pay them a monthly retainer amount. It's like buying it's like pay-per-view versus a subscription service. Okay, you're just paying a monthly amount. That's called direct to primary care. That's gaining support. In the recent legislation, they amended the health savings accounts to say that if you have a health savings account, you can pay for that. That's very attractive to new doctors, students in medical school, because right now, paying on a procedure basis or fee-for-service basis involves a lot of paperwork and bureaucracy, and the doctor spends more time doing paperwork than treating patients, and that's not what people go to med school for. So, there are a number of different reforms that are coming up, and again, a lot of this stuff is bipartisan. It just takes some time to go through. The obstacle is inertia. We haven't done things this way in the past, and sometimes there are vested interests that are opposed. So, for example, on price transparency, hospitals would prefer not to have that public. But on the other hand, you have other interests, the unions and the employers, who say, no, we want access to the data. And so that is it makes it politically possible to have that debate.
Okay, so Ed, here's another aspect that I can think of relating to price transparency. So as you know, hospital systems are gradually getting bigger due to consolidation. For example, a health system can own multiple hospitals, right? So if two competing hospitals merge, then prices could potentially rise without clear quality improvements. So how do we solve this?
Yeah, I'm actually a little less concerned about that, because for so many things today, you have an out-of-hospital alternative. Okay, you have ambulatory centers. So, for example, orthopedic surgery, you have focused orthopedic surgery specialty procedures. I mentioned radiology. You don't have to go to a hospital to get an X-ray or an MRI or a CT scan. You can have freestanding radiologists. Now, part of that is local. You want state laws, which license and regulate this, to be more open to competition. Some states are better than that than other states. That's an area that can be changed to create more competition. The other thing is payment policy. So, for example, one of the reasons that hospitals, it's not so much hospitals consolidating, but hospitals gobbling up practices, is if they can get paid better. So we have something in Medicare where, because the hospital has higher costs, they get paid more for the same thing that can be done on an outpatient basis. And so this is, again, something where the business community and the insurers are pushing for what's called site neutral payment, meaning if you're doing something like, again, an MRI, the payment should be the same regardless of whether it's inpatient or out of patient. So there are a number of areas that can be tackled here.
Okay, Ed, let's take a step back here. While I have you here, I want to get your opinion on this. Do you think overall our healthcare system disproportionately focuses on treatment more than prevention? Do you think there needs to be a more emphasis on stopping an illness before it happens?
There should be more emphasis on prevention. That is a number of factors involved in that. Again, one of the things that is really important when you talk about prevention, and it's really not just prevention, it's management. Okay, so somebody, for example, who's a diabetic, it's far better to have a relationship with a primary care doctor with routine visits to manage that, so you avoid having expensive crises that have to be dealt with, say, in a hospital setting. Now, again, I come back to some of the payment structure. If you have a payment structure for primary care, and this is where direct primary care is so interesting, that says, look, we want you to have an established relationship with a primary care provider who takes care of a lot of this, then you can head off some of those costs. I've talked to insurance companies, startup insurance companies, and they say, look, the first thing we want people to do when we go in to offer benefits for an employer is we want all of them to go get checked out by a primary care doc. We say, look, it's free. And if you've got, so many months to do it, and if you don't do it, we're going to charge you a high deductible. But if you do it, we're going to take the deductibles off because they know that if you have that relationship established, they have the data that shows that. If you have that relationship established and you maintain that, and somebody's there working with you, as a primary care provider, that they know it will save them as the insurer and the system in general money down the road in treating acute and episodic incidences.
All right, Ed, just one final question here. Other than price transparency, is there any other policy you would like to see implemented or changed?
Well, as I said, some of these reforms to create parity, for example, the site neutral payment in Medicare, that would make a big difference because Medicare covers a lot of hospital costs because Medicare covers elderly and they tend to use hospitals more than most people because when you get older, you get a bit sicker. But other things like direct primary care. This is growing. We have insurers out there who are combining direct primary care with the insurance plan offerings, but you can't do it in Medicare. So that's one of the areas that I would reform. I would say, look, let's make this option available to Medicare beneficiaries. Let's put it into Medicaid. These are people who are poorer. Again, they may have less healthy habits. This kind of primary care payment reform is going to make a big difference, I think. So these are all a suite of things that we would support.
Yeah, great ideas today, Ed. Really good conversation. Thank you for speaking with us.
Thanks for having me.
A sweet tradition growing at the White House, a new beehive on the South Lawn set to boost money or honey production, how it's used from the kitchen to official gifts. And from a sweet addition on the South Lawn to upgrades at another iconic Washington landmark, President Trump unveiling plans to renovate the Lincoln Memorial reflecting pool, including the cost and time. We'll tell you about it after this break. Stay with us.
With Select Specs £6 specs, you can get 10 pairs of prescription glasses for just £60. That includes frames, prescription lenses, and delivery free to your door. And what makes this really special is each pair can have a different prescription. So it's glasses for everyone. SelectSpecs.com/£6. 10 frames, all with prescription lenses and delivery for just £60. You don't get that on the high street. Right now you can save an extra 5% with offer code CG5OFF.
It's finally here, our second annual mega sale. This sale only comes around once a year, so take advantage of the best offers ever while you can. For example, save 50% on our Giza Dream bed sheets, as low as $29.98. And for the first time ever on TV, MyPillow mattresses and MyPillow mattress toppers, as low as $99.98. And you save 50% on our Lux Pure 6-piece towel sets, regular $69.98. Now only $39.98. And our best-selling standard MyPillows, regular $49.98, on sale for $17.98. Wait on it, mega sale, only $14.98. So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use this promo code to take advantage of our second annual mega sale. But wait, there's more. To make the mega sale even more special, when you order right now, your order's going to ship absolutely free.
Is deep-sea fish oil really healthy? Due to pollution in the oceans, most fish contain heavy metal elements and radioactive substances. That's why it's so important to choose a pure source of omega-3. Puritang Green Vegetable Omega-3 is made from purslane and perilla seeds, which are rich in nutrients and minerals. It effectively improves brain power and is beneficial to the heart's health. Puritang Green Vegetable Omega-3. Eat 2 a day and you'll feel brand new.
Tired of struggling with that heavy leaf blower? Introducing the Bullseye Power Blower. It delivers a massive blowing force, and yet it's so compact and lightweight. Just lock and load the rechargeable battery for long-lasting runtime. The secret is the compact turbocharged motor with jet burst technology that blasts out 21,000 RPMs of airflow. Watch this. The sheer force propels this woman across the pool. Look, use Bullseye to blow up a huge jump house. Now that's power. Even blows snow right off your your vehicle in no time. Turbo clean your porch in a flash or tidy up your dirty garage floor in seconds. Get it today for just $99.99. But wait, act now and get a $20 discount. So it's only $79.99. Plus, you'll get the adjustable extension tube, yours free. And it all comes with free shipping. Order now.
Call 1-800-209-2313 or go to bullseyeblower.com. That's 1-800-209-2313 or order online at bullseyeblower.com. Order now.
Two young people are under arrest in connection with an alleged plot to attack a synagogue in Houston, Texas. Authorities say 18-year-old Angelina Han Hicks is charged with conspiring to commit murder and assault against members of the congregation. Court documents allege the plot involving driving through the congregation to kill as many Jews as possible, quote unquote. Hicks was arrested in North Carolina and is being held on a $10 million bond. She was charged with plotting alongside two male suspects to commit the alleged offense. The FBI says a juvenile was also taken into custody in Texas and charged in Harris County. Investigators launched the case after receiving a tip earlier this week. Officials say there is no known ongoing threat. President Trump says his administration is moving forward with renovations to the Lincoln Memorial Reflecting Pool. The president says the project will dramatically improve the iconic site.
We scrubbed the surface of the existing granite that's been there since 1922. We then grouted all of the granite, fixed it up, took about 2 weeks, and now we have a nice clean surface on which we're putting a industrial grade swimming pool topping. And they said, "What color would you like, sir?" It's called American Flag Blue. I said, "That's the color I want."
President Trump says the renovation will cost about $1.5 million and take roughly a week to complete. He says contractors have already begun laying down materials for the project. The reflecting pool has been a centerpiece of the National Mall since opening in 1923. It has hosted major moments in U.S. history, including Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s I Have a Dream speech. The White House is adding a fully functioning beehive on the South Lawn. First Lady Melania Trump announced the expansion of the honey program. A local artisan crafted the White House replica by hand. The new hive will add 2 bee colonies to existing colonies that already produce signature White House honey. The new hive is expected to add an estimated 30 pounds of annual production. White House chefs use the honey to sweeten a variety of dishes. The honey also serves as an official gift from the President and First Lady. The beekeeping program officially started in 2009 after a carpenter started beekeeping as a hobby at the White House. Since then, beekeeping has become a South Lawn tradition. In New York City, the Macy's Flower Show is taking over Herald Square, drawing crowds with its fresh floral displays. NTD's Niku Bani is on the scene, talking with visitors on what's drawing them in.
I'm standing here in front of Macy's at Herald Square in New York City, and they're actually kicking off their 2026 flower exhibition. And from just the displays behind me outside, you can tell just how stunning this is. So let's dive in.
This is my first time at the Macy's Flower Show, and my jaw dropped because it was absolutely beautiful. I can't imagine how much time and effort was put in to present such beauty.
They're really diverse and beautiful, and I'm from Colorado, unbelievably, and I'm glad to see that Colorado was represented by a beautiful bouquet.
I think the Valentino display is fantastic. You get to walk through all the different colors, and it was very nicely done.
Yeah, I agree with the Valentino, and then right when you walked in, just the awe of it all.
So, I mean, I would say everything was very detailed, you know, it was colorful, it was very unique, I would say, very unique.
And lots of big crowds, so it's attracted a lot of people, so we've met a lot of people along the way trying to take pictures of each other, so it's great.
Absolutely. We love flowers, and it shows our Creator loves us, and He has given us so much beauty.
Now, this exhibition goes until May 10th, so feel free to stop by anytime. Also, Macy's is hosting tours, which you can check out on their website, so take a look at that. Nikubani, NTD News, New York.
A Dutch botanical garden is welcoming spring with 7 million blooming flowers open for just 8 weeks. The colorful florals draw visitors from across the globe. NTD's Andrew Thomas has more on the springtime attraction.
Vivid pink, red, and yellow tulips sway in the breeze. For the next 8 weeks, 7 million bulbs will flower at Keukenhof in the Netherlands. Gardeners and horticulturists like Owen Carroll spend nearly a year working on the botanical garden.
It is nice to see the people come inside the gates with a big smile, because it is the spring garden in Europe, and that means the people like to come in here and the garden as well, and that's why we like doing our job as well.
Keukenhof is happy to welcome visitors from around the world, but the flowers are delicate, requiring visitors to be careful while taking in the colorful florals.
Today the people are a bit more aggressive, maybe 15 years ago, so sometimes you got to say, please don't touch the flowers, please don't walk in the grass. But it's very difficult because the people come over the whole world, and what they want to do is take a picture behind the flowers.
Carroll says the garden tries to enforce the rules while remaining a welcoming place for visitors.
Kijk eens, it is very important ook. You got to keep our customers very happy. Kijk eens, and that's why we got to be very polite, show a big smile, but sometimes you got to say no.
Kanti Patel and Banu Patel are visiting for the first time to celebrate their 50th wedding anniversary.
Oh gosh, I didn't expect it to be like this. Absolutely beautiful, absolutely beautiful. Even the fields, we've seen the fields and the windmill and the beauty of these daffodils. And
Sarah Berto is visiting from Italy. She appreciates the beauty while trying to ignore the buzz of tourists.
Yeah, I like the quiet more than the people and the crowded. But I also think it's really a popular place, so it's normal that it's a lot of people around.
The Keukenhof says over 1 million visitors travel to the garden each year, one of the Netherlands' most visited attractions every spring. Andrew Thomas, NTD News.
A McDonald's in Southern California isn't what it seems. The location isn't serving burgers, fries, or chicken, or McNuggets. According to news outlet SF Gate, the Los Angeles County Mickey D's actually serves as a filming location for TV commercials. While the fake McDonald's isn't open to the public, it does have a functional kitchen for production. The space looks like a real franchise of the fast food giant, but functioning as a studio complete with set equipment. The Los Angeles Times reports that the fake McDonald's was constructed in 1978. Just 10 years later, over 1,000 ads had been filmed at the location. An appeals court blocks President Trump's executive order suspending immigration asylum applications. The ruling comes as the Trump administration attempts to address the issue of illegitimate asylum claims. More news after this break. Stay with us.
The bladder control aisle. You won't shop here again. Your private business is your own. The constant struggle is over. Now there's a better way. It's HDIS. We home deliver bladder control products. We understand how you feel. For over 25 years, we've home delivered to many of the 20 million Americans who deal with incontinence. We offer all brands. We pay shipping and use plain, unmarked boxes. If we can help you or someone you care for, call for your free product sample pack and $45 in money-saving coupons. Our counselors will help you choose the right product. And unlike stores, we're always in stock. You'll get what you need. Satisfaction guaranteed. HDIS, the better way.
For your free sample pack with your free catalog, $45 in money-saving coupons, and free product samples, call 1-800-701-6159. That's 1-800-701-6159.
I was a young dad of 3 amazing kids. I was finally following my dreams. Just when you feel like life is starting to come together, you get kind of hit in the face. I was born with a congenital heart defect and had open heart surgery as a kid. I was supposed to go to the heart doctor once a year, and I finally went. He listened to my heart, and I'll never forget, he sat back and he said, yeah, it's time for open heart surgery, or you risk your aorta rupturing, and that's it. I was scared out of my mind. The night before my open heart surgery, I made a goodbye video for my kids. Be strong. Take care of your mom. I love you guys.
seeing, all the kids hug him goodbye and hoping that they were going to be able to hug him again.
I love you. But I did make it, thanks to the work of the American Heart Association. So that's why I'm asking you to join me. Please call now or go to helpheart.org. For only $19 a month, just 63 cents a day, you can help get the next person trained in CPR, get the next hospital certified in high-quality cardiovascular care, as well as fund the next medical breakthrough like these heart valves that helped save my life. When you give $19 a month with your credit card, we'll send you this special t-shirt to show you're a part of our community of monthly donors.
I'm most grateful that I get to have a husband that I get to grow old with, and a husband that gets to be there for his children.
I believe without the American Heart Association, I would not be here today.